Giving up something is the hardest thing you could ever do, whether it be a habit or like a sport or whatever. If you're making a change in your routine, giving up is probably one of the hardest things that you're ever going to do. I remember this time last year, we were on our retreat, like literally to a year to this date, we were on our retreat. And I remember we started talking about this topic that I'm going to be talking about with us this morning. And that's Lent. We've talked about this briefly over the years with you guys, but I just wanted to really reiterate kind of that subject that we always discuss. And for those of you who are new and joining us, this is going to be a sweet moment that you're going to learn about a tradition that's as old as time, but yet I've even talked to some people that are my age and they've never even heard of this, and they've gone to church their whole lives. And that's the tradition of Lent, right? Giving something up and directing your focus somewhere else. That's kind of the ground basis of what Lent is. Going into this season, it's very different, right? We're in houses and concluded. We're usually used to getting ready for Easter, springtime. The snow's melting, the birds are chirping. We're planning our family dinners and barbecues, and it's just a little bit weird. But I want to ask you, has there been some habits that we've developed because we've been either stuck in quarantine or just we've had to change our lifestyle up a little bit? Mom and dad are home a little bit more. Like just some different things that you might have developed over this time. Back in the day when the Jews used to get ready for this season that when we celebrate when Jesus died on the cross, it was the season called Passover. And Lent was kind of that time period before where they weren't just preparing planning wise, like figuring out where they're going to go eat their meal and things like that, but preparing their souls as well, basically. So I don't know about you guys, but when you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you do, right? Do you brush your teeth? Do you shower first? Do you eat, then brush your teeth, right? There's like a million different ways that you can do your own routine. But the point is, when you hit out the door, you're ready to go. You got your keys, wallet, phone, AirPods, whatever. Like, you know, feel like you're carrying a million different things. You got a whole checklist to go through. And if you're like me, I'm like a mad dasher. I've got to be at my other job for like 5:30 in the morning, but my alarm goes off at 4 o'clock, but I hit the snooze button and I'm only out of bed at 4:30. And then once I'm out the door, it's like, rush, and I always, without fail, probably forget one thing, even if it's insignificant. Like, oh, I packed myself a lunch, but I forgot to take the second container that it was in. It's just the worst, right? But we've developed these routines over time, and we've never really tweaked them. We've never really taken a hard look at our daily routine, whether it's just a morning or a full afternoon. See, when we're preparing for this season of Lent, we can take a hard look at our routines and really start to nitpick about being like, hey, is there something that we're doing that's actually counterproductive, like me setting my alarm but yet not waking up when it actually goes off, right? So there's those kinds of things. But I wanted to encourage you guys that instead of cracking open the Bible this morning and just giving you a verse and regurgitating information, I want to challenge you this week, and I'm going to throw this in our email, and I'm going to talk to our parents about how this is going to go. We want to challenge you guys with looking over either these new habits that you've developed, whether they're healthy or unhealthy, but it's picking that one thing that you want to give up for that season of Lent. So really it's like either you're saying, hey, I want to give up video games or for a season. For me, it's like, oh, I want to start eating better, so I got to give up my French fries for this season of Lent. It could be something like TV time or screen time, right? It's just those things, but it's not just giving up something, it's what we're doing with that time at the same time, right? So when they were getting ready for this season of Passover, they were giving up that certain time and devoting it to prayer, to listening to worship music, to journaling, like, you know, to whatever it may be in your time that you would have been using that for. Give it to God. It's a great way to challenge yourself for one thing, so you can implement some discipline, because I don't know about you, but for me, it's like I could always use a little bit more discipline in my life. Like seriously, who gets up and gets out the door within a half an hour? It's just not really practical, right? So my challenge to myself was actually two things. One is I gotta wake up earlier so I can make myself more prepared for work. So that means probably getting to sleep earlier too, which kind of sucks. You know, it's a double-edged sword there. And second of all is probably giving up those French fries, because like we all love those sacred donair poutines, or you know, I don't know about you, but a good French fry can change like your whole day. It's just like, oh, I've had a bad day, some good French fries, right? Probably not a healthy habit to develop, but with quarantine and we haven't been able to go out for friends and restaurants and things like that, it's just kind of been a default. That's kind of like the challenges I'm challenging myself with. And I'm going to devote those kinds of times or those kinds of moments, and I'm going to give it to God, right? So that's just been my challenge for you this week. But going forward with that, guys, feel free to continue to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, so you can get our new up-to-date videos for our devotion every week that's going to be released this morning, as well as finding out about youth events and so on and so forth. For youth, just while I'm at it, we have a program that we're using called Eventbrite. So you just click that link that we're going to throw up in the description. So if you want to register for any youth events, you just click that. So there's multiple dates. Make sure you're clicking the right one for that week. We don't want to get lost in that, but you'll be able to see that. And parents, if you're watching this with your students, I just want to remind you to stick your student's name and not your name, just for the purpose of if we need to do contact tracing, should anything happen. But luckily we're going well, and we're still promoting social distance and sanitization and all that fun stuff. So we look forward to seeing you guys out on Fridays if you're wanting to join us. If not, join us back here next week online for your next challenge. But just to reiterate that again, think of those 1 or 2 things that you can start to think about giving up in this next season of Lent, and devoting that time to something else to better ourselves. Stay blessed, guys, and we'll be with you next week.
This makes me sad.